So oftentimes you're not gonna, you're not just losing money because of labor or parts or rework or things like that. It could be because you're giving too big of discounts, right? And so here I want to show how to get sort of like a 30,000 foot view, just overall, what was the price? How much did we discount it? What was our revenue and what was our average, by month discounting rate? And then also get a lot more granular where you have, your salespeople, your service tech, and then also by system type. And then just showing a cool little the thing with heat maps is they're good, but it doesn't. It's like if you want to see everything below 8 or above 8%, it's like okay, like this is above. Okay, the seven's below, but you can create sort of a secondary. I guess it's a heat map. I don't know what you would call this, but like a spot check. So 8%, and then it's like okay, cool. Like I know everything above 8% or 8.5%. So let's get going, and listen, I'll show you how to do all this cool stuff. So first in the data set, and if you want this data set, there's going to be a download link in the description, but or just shoot me an email, and I'll give you my email at the end of the video here. But it's realistic data because I've worked with because I've built this for HVAC clients. And so you have an invoice date, and then you have what was the system type, sales channel, region, list price, and then discount, and then final invoice, and then discount rate. And so and then also salesperson. So because we're going to be doing this by month, you don't want to take an average of the month because you're going to want to sum the list price, sum the discount rate for the whole month, and then you can get a more accurate, because like for example these two, it's like if you were to take the average of this, it's 6.41%. But the reality is like if you sum this, like, and then do the proper way, it's going to be a different number than 6.41. So I'll show you how to do all this stuff. So first, let's just get the month. So month, January, and then here, click here and just drag it down. And then I'm just going to center everything real quick. Okay, so we want list price here, and then we want discount, and then we want, the average discount or the discount rate. What did I call it here? Revenue percent discount benchmark. So revenue, and then percent discount, and then benchmark. Okay, so the list price. The good thing is like we're using. If you watch any of my other videos, SumIfS is the conditional counts and sums and averages are really popular. So SumIfS is sum if. So sum the list price if the month is January, and going forward, we'll do sum the list price if the salesperson is Kevin and the system type is heat pump. But for this first one, SumIfS, sum if the list price, comma, and then the month range, so it's the range, comma, and then the actual name of the month, which is January. I'll just go up here, but it's cell B3. And then if you press Control Shift and the number 4, you can format it as a dollar, and then just remove the decimals. And you can double click there. And then the same thing here. And for the next ones, I'm going to go a little bit faster just to save time. So SumIfS, discount amount. Oh, I say I'm going to go faster, and then of course I do that. So discount, SumIfS, discount amount, comma, January, comma, and I know it's in cell B3, right? And then from here, I'm just going to do this and press Control D. Yeah, I know I'm going fast. I'm just trying to save time. And what we could do here, we could just subtract these two, or subtract, the list price minus the discount, or I can just do SumIfS. Actually, no, let me do it that way. Just again, to save time. And then the percent discount is going to be the list price, or the discount divided by the list price. So, and we can carry it to one decimal. And then, yeah, you can just double click here and then say the benchmark, I don't know, is 7%. You can do it this way and maybe add a decimal. And then what we can do is just equals this. Just double click that down, because then it's going to make it dynamic. So 8, 7, 7.5. Okay, so now we want to create this chart, which is going to have revenue in the column, and then the discounting rate as the orange line, and then a benchmark as the gray line. So just highlight this, and then hold down Control and highlight these two. I know I'm not adding benchmark, and it's because I want to show you a little trick. and then click on recommended charts, and then it's the first one here. But if you don't see it, you will. But if you don't, click on all charts, combo, and then check this box here, because the axis, right? You have a percentage, and if you're putting a percentage on a $800,000 axis when it's 0.8, 0.08, it's going to be flat, and so you just need to have that there. We can call this, say, discounting rate. Okay, so the trick I wanted to show you is if you highlight the benchmark, press Control C, and then click on the chart and press Control V, it automatically adds it. So it's a pretty cool little trick. And then what I'm going to do is format this just a little bit. So double click here, and then on the little paint bucket here, we can go to, say, solid line, and then, yeah, pick a color, gray. And then if you want a dash or something, you can have a dash. Okay, so if you want to show the values, you can just click in the chart, click the crosshair, and go to data labels. But the problem is it's super noisy. And so I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the line and then do the same thing. But now it's a little bit less noisy. I mean, we can move some of these out of the way. And I won't move a lot, but I'll just move like one or two. Let's put this down here, maybe. That's sort of weird. It's like, why? Like, I'm going to click on this and make the font a little bit smaller. It's sort of weird why it's so big. Okay. Okay, so that's how you can do that. And the next thing I want to show is let's create that heat map that I was showing you. And like, so what we want here is we want the high values to be green, but here we want the low values to be green, and here we want the high values to be green, right? So just it's pretty straightforward to do. Just click on here, highlight the range that you want to have the colors, conditional formatting. So click home, conditional formatting, color scales, green high, and then the same thing. But here it's the red high, so the second box. And then here it's back to green high. And then here it's back to red high. Right? And so you can see it that way. Okay, so the next thing, we want to do the exact same thing, but this time, so I'll just copy. No, we're actually not using it in month. We want to do it by salesperson and by the type here. So to get a unique list, like what we want is we want a unique list of the salesperson's name, right? We don't want Mark Reynolds twice, even though it'll be like 100 times. We don't want any of that. And so we want to have, equals unique, because we want a unique list. Excel makes it super easy, equals unique, and then highlight the column, enter. And you can see here, I'm in the way, but you can see here, you get everything. And you get an extra 0. And the reason is because we're highlighting the whole column, and there's not data in all of the columns, or in all of the rows of the column. And so it takes all the blank cells, removes all the duplicates, and then the one remaining blank cell is a 0. But yeah, so copy this. So Control C and then Control Shift V. And what that's going to give you is it's going to remove the formula so you can start working with it. And if you wanted to put this like in alphabetical order, you can just highlight it, go to data, and then sort, and it'll do that. Okay, so now we want to do the exact same thing, unique, on the system type. So we have that, and then same story, Control C, Control Shift V to remove that. And if you want to be sorted alphabetically, you can do that. Okay, and so here, what we want to do is we want to take this and we want to put it up here. So we want to, you could do this, but it's going to take too long. So just highlight everything, press Control C, and then if you press, if you right click and put in, then press ST for paste special transpose, it'll do that. I'll show you. So right click ST and it does that. But I'll show you another way, just so you can sort of see the steps. So right click in this cell, go to paste special here, and you can go down here and find the transpose. I don't know which one it is. Maybe one of these, maybe not. Paste formulas, right here. So it's this one. But if you just click on paste special, well, I guess it kicked me out. If you highlight again, Control C, right click, paste special, and then down here it's transpose. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but essentially now you have what you want. Okay, so we're going to use the SUMIFS again, but what we need to do is we need to do the sum of the discounted rate for furnace for Andrew Sullivan, and then divide that by the sum of the list price for furnace and Andrew Sullivan. And so the numerator, the top of the equation, is going to be the discount rate, the discounted dollar amount, and then the denominator of the equation is going to be just the list price, the total list price. So SUMIFS, discount amount, comma, salesperson, comma, and that's going to be right here, Andrew Sullivan, comma, and then now we need the system type, C, comma, and then furnace, and then enter. So we have that. So in other words, there was $15,536 worth of discounts that Andrew Sullivan did for furnace. And so we need to do the exact same thing, but instead of column G, we want column F. And so I'm actually not gonna redo the whole formula. I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna do divide by and then paste it, and then I'm gonna do column F. Delete that and then do F. And now you get a percentage. Okay, so now we want to drag this across, but the problem is we get an error. And because what you'll notice is that column G, because you're going over, turns into H, right? And then J turns into K. Like, and you can see that here. G turns into H, and then J turns into K. Everything moves over one, essentially. And so we don't want that to happen. And it's the same thing whenever we drag down. Like, furnace becomes the percentage, and so we don't want any of that to happen. So what we want is we want to take this, and then we want to lock all of the columns by pressing the F4 key. And so I'm gonna go a little bit fast here, so you can just pause the video. And then anywhere you see the red, the furnace, you want to lock the rows. So when you drag it across, it does change, but when you drag it up and down, it doesn't. And so you put the $ in between. And for the column, you put it before the letter, because as you want to lock the column, you want to lock the letter, essentially. So here, and then here. Let's see if I know what I'm talking about, right? So now you have all the percentages. And then from here, the same thing, heat map, home, conditional formatting, color scales, high, the high is bad, right? So we want that to be red. Okay, so finally what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this and just paste it here. And I'm going to highlight the conditional formatting, and then I'm going to remove that. So clear rules from selected cells. But then I'm going to put, say, like a target. Let's say the target is 7.0% or something. And we want to remove this. And then you want to highlight this, and then conditional formatting, highlight cells greater than 7, right? And so now it's dynamic. 5, 10, 9. But let's just add a quick word to that, meaning we want to have like a word there, because if you have text, Excel isn't going to recognize it. So just go to format cells, custom, and then quotations, target, and now this is a number, even though it looks like it might not be a number. Like if I would have done, target, 5%, this is text. Like Excel doesn't know, like equals this plus 1, right? Nothing. Equals this plus 1, right? It's a number. But anyways, that is how you do that. That is how you can, calculate your discount rate and see, how much money are you losing. Maybe your salespeople are, closing deals because they're giving huge discounts. And then you can find some people that are given, relatively small discounts. Let's say 5. And so like you can see here, it's like, for Chris Delgado with heat pumps, like maybe he needs to go and talk to Mark, about the discounts. Anyways, if you have any questions, just shoot me an email, questions@databoards. And if you want this file, the link is in the description. And if you have any questions, or if you want to hop on a call to talk about your data, there's also a link, there's a link to a form in the description. But anyways, that's all I got on this one, and I will see you in future videos.